The second topic that we're talking about today is how can we eliminate or reduce the no-show rate for our book demo. And that's really an important thing because no-shows are a pain in the neck. And there are several reasons as to why we have no-shows, especially for booked demos. Several reasons. And actually only one reason is something that we think is fair enough. So that's probably one reason I can accept. All the other reasons are just phony. So we need to avoid that. And one reason might be that there's an emergency popping up on our prospect side. And if it's not an excuse, if there is an emergency, then that's fair enough, right? House is burning down. Okay, that's an emergency. The second reason is that the priorities have changed. And we as a vendor are not really important anymore, or the timing has changed, or something else popped up internally on their side. Now, that's a reason that is not really acceptable to us as a salesperson because, once we have a sales call with them, once we schedule a demo, we already digged into the pain points. So if any priority pops up, there's something that we didn't do in the sales call, something that we did not mention, that we did not dig deep enough into our sales call. And number 3 for the no-shows is that we have leads in our sales pipeline that did not have a sales contact prior to them scheduling a call. So why is that important? It's important because they did not give a commitment. We did not get a commitment from them proactively. And that's something that we need to avoid, right? I know I'm a big advocate of giving power to prospects, power to buyers, make it as easy for them to make a decision to get in touch with sales. But again, therein lies the danger and the threat almost that we are wasting a lot of time with people who schedule something but then ultimately don't show. So that's also one of the reasons why it's so important for us to have a sales conversation and to really nail that sales conversation, that sales call with the prospect, with the lead. So in order to minimize the no-show rate, there's basically really just 2 things. Number 1, we must have a sales call. We need to be spot on in the sales call, and we need to follow up relentlessly. Yeah. So once we have their commitment to get on a follow-up call or a demo call or a call where we get into the nitty-gritty things, then we can be absolutely relentless with following up. Not a big fan of following up with cold leads, right? So following up, that's harassment, that's spam. But if we had them on a sales call and we really nailed the sales call, we really did a good job with that. And one of the frameworks that you can use is the probing sales framework, which makes sure that you ask the right questions at the right time, framed and phrased in the right way to guide your prospect to the close. And once you have that, then it's absolutely okay to follow up and follow up relentlessly. Well, let's get back to on topic. How can we reduce the no-shows? We just discussed reasons as to why we have no-shows. And one of the reasons that is acceptable to me under some circumstances is there's an emergency, right? There's, the house is burning, that's fine. Anything else, phony excuses. So we need to make sure that we eliminate all of that and that we get a firm commitment. Several things that we can do. So let's go through that. Number one is we need to take accountability for the scheduling, right? We can't leave that to our prospects. We can't pop a question, when's a good time for you? What we need to do in the sales call as one of the final, after the close, that's the final thing that we need to do, is we need to open the calendar. We need to tell our prospects to do the same, open your calendar, and we suggest 2 dates, right? Is today better or tomorrow better? Is Tuesday better or Wednesday better? Be very specific. Yeah. So we need to take responsibility for the scheduling. When we're on a call with our prospects, we need to be in charge. We need to take responsibility for all of that, right? If you lose control, you lose the deal. Number 2, the priority 1 for scheduling a demo or a follow-up call is this week. It's always this week. It's today or this week or tomorrow, right? It's as close to the sales call as possible. And priority 2 is next week. right? So it's either this week or next week, and never schedule anything more than 2 weeks ahead. That opens up possibilities for them to come up with either phony excuses or something else pops up on their side, some emergency or some other project or whatever. So, and I talked about that. If we are not a priority anymore in 2 weeks' time, we need to do a better job in our sales call. And one of the ways to do that is the probing sales framework. Recap, take accountability and responsibility for your scheduling. On the phone, open your calendar, tell the prospect to do the same, then suggest 2 dates. Priority is always this week. Priority 2 is next week. Never schedule anything more than 2 weeks ahead or 5 business days. Yeah? We have a business week is 5 days, never more than 5 to 10 business days. Number 3, if possible, send the invite on the call. Prepare everything that you have in place, everything that you need to just click it and send the invite on the call. That requires a little bit of preparation, but once you get into the groove with it, it's absolutely brilliant, because then you can say, listen, I just sent you the invite. Can you confirm that you received it? Or did it land in spam, right? So do that on the call. If possible, do it on the call. Send the invite on the call. A little trick that we found works pretty well. If you write in the subject line the word confirmed, and that should be in capital letters. That should be the first thing that you write in the subject line. Confirmed in capital letters, and then add a specific value or a specific topic in the subject line. So the word confirmed followed by a specific value or a specific topic. What do I mean by that? Put the word confirmed in capital letters as the first word in your subject line, and then follow that word with either a value or a topic, a value that they get out of the call or a topic. And a topic can be something like 30 minutes to answer your questions about CRM XYZ. It can be something like preparing business case for your CFO. Decide if X is the right fit for you. A 30-minute strategy to achieve X, whereas X is your prospect's goal or objectives in their own words, right? Always try to mirror the words and phrases and terminology of your prospect. So that's one thing that we can do. Number one, we have to make sure, and we want to make sure that we absolutely nail the sales call. And as I said, one of the ways is to utilize and apply the probing sales framework, because we developed that specifically for that, so you can guide your prospect to where you need them to be. Yeah, guide them through their purchasing funnel, through the buying funnel, facilitate a purchase decision, and then get to the. If you want to know more about the probing sales framework, there are links all over the place. Just click the link in my bio or look at the ticker below, Google it, or go to honeycombagency.co.uk. So the sales call, we need to absolutely nail the sales call. We want the prospect to understand the value that we bring. We want them to understand the costs of not showing up, of not doing anything. And we want them to agree with the next step. And I said that last week in one of the lunch breaks. The best way to do that is to get their commitment right at the beginning of the call. And you can do that with a question like, after this call, what ideally are you trying to get out of this call? Or what information would you like to have after a call to take the next steps? Something along the lines like that. So we agree to the next step before we even get to the close. We get the commitment as well, right? So we need their commitment. They need to tell us that they are committed to the next step, to the meeting booked or the follow-up call. Why is that important? Well, human beings are quite funny in a way that we don't like to contradict ourselves. So once we give a commitment, we want to stick with that commitment. Now you see, it's important for us to have a conversation. Inbound leads are great. I love inbound leads because they show that they are interested and that they have a potentially higher buy intent than outbound leads, cold leads. Now, the only problem that we have with inbound leads is once they schedule a call, they are not really committed. Why? Because we did not facilitate the commitment, right? They go to our website, they have a look, they schedule a first call. So it's the top of the funnel, right? The very first contact. Now, that can be even more frustrating, but at the same time, these top funnel leads, if they don't show up for whatever reason, we know that they don't have a high buy intent. So, it's kind of a balance to know if they show up or not. But by any means, we want to avoid wasting our time. We want to avoid wasting our sales team's time with calls scheduled and then we have no-shows, right? So for top funnel leads, that's who get in touch for the first time, we need to get in touch with marketing and have a conversation with marketing and really get on the same page to get rid of those no-shows in the first place. When we have these leads booking a first sales call, that sales call needs to be absolutely spot on. And I always say we need to qualify fast and disqualify faster. And that's what the probing sales framework is all about. We need to qualify fast, disqualify faster, and close better. And we need to get their commitment to get on the follow-up call with us. It has to come from them because human beings hate to contradict themselves. If I give a commitment and I have to break that commitment, I really think twice about it. And the commitment of just going on a website and scheduling a meeting, that's not really a commitment, right? That's just an action, but that's not a commitment. In your sales call, you have the big chance and the big opportunity to ask for their commitment, to get it out of their mouths. And once they speak their commitment, that weighs heavily on them. So we want to get that commitment, right? We want to get it as quickly as possible. And then also we said, have the email ready to be sent right when you're on the call, when you have them on the call. Why? Because time kills deals. And even though it might not be a deal yet, let's just consider it a deal. Let's consider it a close. Time kills deals. So once we have them on the call, prepare everything so that you are ready to send the invite while you have them on the call. Why? Because then you can ask, did you get it? I'm sending it right now. I'm clicking the button right now. Did you receive it? You didn't receive it. Reload Outlook or reload Mail or reload Gmail. Is it there now? No? Okay, check your spam. Oh, it's in spam. Okay, perfect. Can you do me a favor and just accept it? Perfect. Right, so we can lead our leads. We can lead our leads. That's not perfect English, but I'll take it. So we need to take control of all of that. So let's just recap what we can do. There will be no-shows. Sometimes there are emergencies that pop up, which is the only reason that I accept under certain circumstances. I do not accept priorities that have changed on the buy side. I do not accept leads, as I said, that did not have a sales contact prior to that because they have no commitment on showing up, right? No commitment to show up. So we need to eliminate that. That we can do if we really get on the same page with marketing. And that's what we need to do in sales. Strategically, we need to work together with marketing to get those low buy intent leads out of our pipeline, to get rid of those window shoppers, get them out of our pipeline strictly and absolutely ruthlessly. Because we in sales, our job is to close, not to prospect, but to close. That's the main job that we have, right? And so we need to do that. We need to be absolutely strict with potential window shoppers, potential leads that never show up. And I get that. Here's the thing, if we have a quota to fulfill, if our KPIs are based on vanity, which means the number of leads generated, as opposed to KPIs that are result-based, right? And the result is not to have X amount of leads in the pipeline. The result is the close. How much revenue have we generated? How much revenue has sales generated, marketing generated, and so on. So we need to change the mindset here a little bit. But that's more on the strategy level, right? So I'm digressing a little bit. Let's recap. We want to take responsibility for the scheduling. We open the calendar. We tell our prospect on the call to do the same. Then we suggest 2 dates. Priority 1, this week. Priority 2, next week. We never want to schedule more than 2 weeks ahead because we don't know what happens in 2 weeks' time. Ideally, we schedule this week or the next week. We want to send the invite on the call while we have them on the call. Why? As I said, because then we can ask, did you receive it? Is it in spam? Okay, perfect. Do you mind accepting it since we're on the call? Right? You can control everything that's been done. Number 4, we want to write our subject line as follows. The first word, you can put that in brackets, by the way. The first word is confirmed in capital letters, confirmed, followed by a specific value or topic. And one of the topics can be 30 minutes to answer your questions about CRM XYZ, preparing your business case for CFO, decide if XYZ is the right fit for you, 30-minute strategy call to achieve XYZ. And XYZ in that case is the prospect's goal and objectives. And if you can take the terminology, how your prospect speaks on the call, the words they use, the terminology, the phrases that and put that in there as well in the subject line, perfect. Follow up. Once they committed, you need to follow up. So ideally, you have a scheduling tool that sends out reminders via email 5 days, 3 days, and 1 day before the meeting. Don't be afraid to really send that many emails out because it's just a reminder. It's 5 days, 3 days, 1 day. That works really well. And on the day, first thing that you want to do when you get up in the morning and you start work, look at your calendar. What are the meetings that you have on that day? And on that day, send your prospect a text message or a DM confirming that you're looking forward to talking to them at time XYZ. So ideally, we have the phone number so we can send them a text. One way to do that is to ask that on the website through the contact form or through the scheduling tool. That works quite well. And as soon as you can text a prospect, that's a great step forward. Anyway, you can also ask for the phone number on the sales call, right? So don't be afraid to give out yours, just in case anything pops up. It's kind of the one of the reasons that you can say why you would want the phone number. But on the day, just send them a text or send them a DM if you're connected to them on LinkedIn or on any other social network, and remind them, send them a reminder and a confirmation. Looking forward to talking to you at 3:45 today or this afternoon. These are just some things that you can do to reduce your no-show rate for booked demos. Again, no-show rates for top of the funnel leads that get in touch with sales for the first time. That is something that we can solve together with marketing, specifically on the website, specifically by how we approach leads, cold leads, and get them to send us an inquiry. My philosophy is that the job of sales is to close and not to make sure that cold leads show up. That's more on the marketing side. That's filling the funnel with leads. That's more on the marketing side because in marketing, it's scalable. It's not as scalable in sales if you're prospecting. Scalability in prospecting is correlated to the number of sales reps that you have in your sales team. So in order to scale prospecting in sales, ideally you would want either sales automation tools, which you should use very carefully, or you increase the number of your sales team. In marketing, however, it is infinitely scalable. Prospecting is infinitely scalable. Just think of demand generation, think of content, think of ads, and all of that, right? We have a benefit and advantage if we work together closely with marketing in that regard. These are the things that we have done to minimize our no-show rate.